High school football for number 1 DeMatha versus number 4 Gonzaga. It's about the little things. In this week's notebook we cover DeMatha, Gonzaga, Chesapeake, Magruder, Madison, Westfield, Friendship, Collegiate and Spalding. The snap count. DeMatha has a host of athletes who make the subtle plays that keep the number 1 Stags in the win column. Don't expect anything different against number 4 Gonzaga on Friday. Every couple of weeks, a highlight-worthy touchdown will drift across Twitter from DeMatha's latest win that reminds the country how explosive this Stags offense can be. Really, that's no surprise with a pair of 4-star linemen committed to Maryland and a wide receiver like DeMarco Hellams with scholarship offers from practically the entire Southeastern Conference. But DeMatha has made its living with consistent mid-length gains and a running game that never goes without fresh legs. After losing starter Marshawn Lloyd the first week of the season with a broken wrist, Coach Elijah Brooks filled his backfield with juniors Miles Myrie, Dominic Logan-Neely and Jalen Johnson. The three have been keeping the offense on schedule, senior quarterback Ty Lenhart said, behind an offensive line that has grown in leaps and bounds since a Week 1 loss to national power Bishop Gorman. In the 4 games since, the Stags are averaging 184 yards per game on the ground. You can see it in our drives, Lenhart said. We grind out games and work through these drives. That's how this offense has grown. Put another way, DeMatha's offense, the one that's always embraced a pro-style, 4-yard chunk mentality, doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't have to be flashy for excitement's sake or to build a national reputation. The Stags are shooting for a 5th straight Washington Catholic Athletic Conference title, and are the odds-on favorite to win the game again. The small wins at the line of scrimmage, the downfield blocks from receivers, the 12-yard completions to the tight end on play action do the talking. They're simple plays that wear opponents down. And Brooks hopes enough of them will wear down a Gonzaga defense that's been the pleasant surprise so far. Let's do what they can't stop, Lenhart said. That's what's going to win us a championship. Here are some notes from our high school football beat reporters from around the region. Chesapeake gets low, wins 4 straight as Chesapeake watched film of its season opener, reliving the horrors of a 30-point loss to Towson. An alarming pattern came into focus. The Cougars weren't playing football low enough to the ground. They weren't blocking well, and they weren't tackling well. So in practice the following week, Chesapeake's coaching staff brought out its set of shadowman tackling dummies, tools that can be dragged around to create the illusion of a scampering runner. The design calls for tacklers to execute hits to the dummy's lower half. We've been doing that every day, and it's a big part of where we're at, said Cougars coach Rob Elliott, whose team has gone 4-0 since the Towson loss. The return to basics proved to be a turning point for Chesapeake. The team beat Severna Park by 14 points in Week 2, starting a winning streak that'll be put on the line Friday against South River, 3-2. Perhaps as important as blocking and tackling for the Cougars, Elliott said, is the need to remain healthy. Chesapeake is thin at running back and linebacker. Tony Watkins has stepped up in the running game with Colby McNulty missing several games due to an ankle injury, but with both now healthy, the Cougars feel more confident moving forward. Joshua Needleman Magruder wins first game in 2 years. Magruder's game against Northwood last Thursday night featured a few milestones. The Colonels' 41-0 win was their first victory in 691 days, dating back to November 6, 2015. And perhaps more importantly for Coach Raymond Fowl as he looks for rising talent and consistency to overcome a winless 2016 season, the quarterback leading the charge scored his first passing and rushing touchdowns at the position. Junior Rashad Claggett wasn't a quarterback before this season. He skipped playing football last year to improve his grades after lining up at wide receiver and cornerback as a freshman on junior varsity in 2015. Claggett's first start, a 52-0 loss at Damascus on September 22, extended the Colonels' woes, but once he crossed the goal line for a rushing touchdown in the first quarter against Northwood, Claggett hoped the streak would end. He was 9 for 9 passing for 120 yards and added 85 yards on 4 rushes, providing a spark Magruder hadn't experienced in almost 2 years. Anytime you're perfect for passing and have 2 touchdowns throwing and 2 touchdowns rushing, it's a heck of a day, Fowle said. Hopefully it continues. Collegiate and Madison gears up for a rematch against undefeated Westfield. The Madison Warhawks, especially the juniors and seniors who helped craft an 11-2016 season, have access to an easy well of motivation as they prepare for Westfield. In last year's Virginia 6A North semifinals, the Warhawks were trailing 14-13 in the third quarter when a 55-yard interception return for a touchdown swung momentum Westfield's way and propelled them to a 31-13 win. "Yeah, I've seen that film countless times," Madison coach Justin Counts said. "It's something we'll think about this week, but we're a new team and they're a new team. Both teams are as good as they were last year." While Westfield has started the year 5-0, Madison enters this year's clash having only lost to Stonebridge 3 weeks ago. Counts thinks that a 26-16 win over South County last week showed how good the Warhawks can be. He pointed to the team's offensive line as the unit that set the tone last Friday and must do it again this weekend against a physical Bulldogs team. "They're big, athletic and very well coached," he said. "They're not going to beat themselves, so we can't do that either." Michael Rigo Friendship ratchets up discipline before facing Spalding. Number 13 Friendship Collegiate heads to Severn, MD, to face number 14 Spalding on Friday with a fresh perspective following a pair of losses to number 1 DeMatha and the Hun School, New Jersey's top-ranked team according to Max Preps. "We've still got a lot of work to do," Coach Mike Hunter said. "We went up against 2 very good opponents and it just showed us we're not where we thought we were." According to Hunter, nothing hurt the Knights more than their own mental lapses and missed assignments. Ahead of the matchup with Spalding, Friendship Collegiate, 3-2, has been focused on discipline, something Hunter said the Knights will need against a well-coached Spalding squad looking to bounce back in its own right. The Cavaliers, 2-2, have dropped 2 of their last 3 contests to equally tough opponents in number 9 Good Counsel and Muktanug. Dan Roth. A week after NFL protests, high school teams weigh decision to demonstrate during anthem. These freshmen are already receiving college interest. Coaches poll, how does our entertaining panel ranks the top 20? Monday Notebook, the force behind C.H. Flowers' shutdown defense. Week 5 Rewind, Freedom Woodbridge surrenders huge lead before upending Hilton in a shootout. Week 5 Rewind, number 10 Good Counsel runs over Northwest, 58-21. The NFL is soon to start breaking out the pink gear in celebration of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The Washington Post found last year that aside from specifically licensed merchandise bearing the NFL Pink Ribbon Shield logo, pink gear sales usually do not benefit any breast cancer-affiliated causes. That means much of what is worn at the youth level is a fashion statement more than a philanthropic effort, whether athletes and their parents know it or not. Read more, here.